my favorite heresy.
Great.
What? I think Chewbacca's upstairs. I'll go grab him. Your pensive song.
Yes. Oh, interesting. Oh my. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Be right back.
Getting off cafe?
Exactly.
Are you a big hugging mom? Well, that's what you get when you get balls and growling.
It's 10 week.
You look at that. It smells good.
I never know how much to put up top.
That's the question.
With the top one, like.
You kind of have to fill it all the way up.
Right, exactly.
And then you actually, I think you have to throw a little bit into the bottom of something, just to give it a little bit more. Because it doesn't seem to quite hold enough to what we
that is
want.
strange.
That's what I have learned with that thing.
What's that?
Sarah Jacobson, we're still chuckling over the taco discussion from yesterday.
Oh,
well,
really?
that might be a good thing, I guess. Alright, let's see if I can find our channel. Gotta switch to my account that I can't watch anything on. It's kind of weird. We've got, I mean, it's good too because this is my account that I have this coming on is an account with the school and the church, but it's very restrictive of what videos one can watch.
Right.
So that's good. But
because we don't want people wasting their time on YouTube.
sure, or watching bad stuff. I mean, you got to protect our kids and everything. But
Right.
but there's lots of things that I want to watch that are like perfectly fine. But
Right.
Good morning, everyone. Oh my. I'm gonna turn off the camera a little bit because it's a little dark.
All right, very good. Well, welcome. We'll get started in just a minute here. Yes, it is a little dark. Very good. A sunny good morning. Once again, our blankets are blocking out our windows, so we can kind of see the outside, but not much.
Oh my, it is. It is a Sunday. Actually, I've been out today.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. It's a rare Tuesday morning that I get out.
Yes, I believe that you have.
Uh-huh.
Well, that thus ends that song, so I guess we can continue. Welcome, everyone, to Tuesday Night... That's not Tuesday Night Live. It's Tuesday today, and Tuesday Night Live is
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning
live.
chat.
Mm-hmm.
We are live, I guess, in many ways. We are quite live.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you with us.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to be your community in the distance. So if you have any things that you can share, what you're doing with your own family, I have this basket. I forgot to put this away again, but it was really cute. We went and visited the kindergarten class yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was adorable.
And
by went, he had it up on his computer, and
right.
I stood by him.
Right, we went. It was a very long trip. But they were playing a Would You Rather game there in kindergarten when we were there at the very end of the class.
Mm-hmm.
But they each had blue papers and red papers, and so the quickest thing I could pull out was these eggs that we received on the octave of Easter.
Right.
And so this is my red egg and this is my blue egg. Yet I know this is really pink, but that was the best I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Which gives me a great transition here. I'll just do this right now because we'll go over to the O-Camera. Hello there, Rachel, Rosalie, and Laura. I have some eggs here that I got. I think that this, Rachel, would be your favorite. And I think, Rosalie, this would be your favorite. I'm not sure if we've discerned what Laura's favorite color would be yet, but there's still how about that? There's still a special candy in there. So that is very exciting. So, and also hello to the Dryling girls. I hear you've been watching also. So nice to hear and see that you are there. So hello, Dryling girls. I hope that you are enjoying the show. All right, so now we're going to go back to the main camera over here. Yes. You have been out, haven't you? You went to Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak?
No,
Is that the famous Taco Bell burrito?
This is a breakfast burrito from Taco Bell. Got bacon in it, some eggs, got some tortilla.
Very good, very good. Well, we were talking about how it might be kind of funny, but I wasn't exactly sure if you were actually going to do that this morning. But you couldn't get it out of your mind, huh?
Well, when you got it, when your tummy has rumblings, only Taco Bell can satisfy.
How is it? Is it disappointing?
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's never
completely
disappointing.
satisfying.
In fact, here's the thing. He knew I was going to go get Taco Bell this morning. But he didn't know that I was going to buy him one taco.
I did. Oh my! This is not a Doritos logo.
It is a
Oh
Doritos
no! No!
Look at this.
Okay,
You see,
here
we're
on-
all sitting
oh, my
over
goodness.
there trying to figure out, like, how are we going to do this? We don't want to make it look like it was a surprise. He had no idea that I bought him one, though.
That's true. Oh my goodness. All right, well, Okay, so I don't want to disappoint you here. So this is, here we go on live. I'm shaking.
Well.
I'm so nervous. There's a little taco holder in
yeah,
here.
you gotta use the taco holder. It falls apart if not.
Here we are on live. This is exactly what you tuned in to watch on Fireside Chat. So this might mean the rest of my day is shot, but all right, here we go.
So before you look, this is the fiery hot Dorito
Flaming
Locos.
hot. I have never had one of these before. I kid you
It
not.
is delicious.
It does not. Yeah. All right. Well, it's not awful.
There
okay.
we go.
I will grant you that. And it is flaming hot.
It's tasty, isn't it?
Tasty is a very strong word there.
It is.
So I'm not sure if I'd go so far as to say tasty, but I will give it another bite.
Okay. So how is everybody doing today?
Oh, do you have your tacos? My sister asked. Okay. My sister. What do I do this? My sister asked if people were having tacos. If we had inspired people to have tacos last night. So did anybody have tacos or burritos last night? And has anyone not been else? Did you see anybody at the store at Taco Bell?
There was one guy in front of me, but I went through the drive-thru.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
I guess so.
As a responsible citizen, don't worry.
Yeah. I guess they
I
are.
eat my Taco Bell responsibly.
Very good. Eat Taco Bell responsibly. Very good. That could be our subs. Our community in the distance. : Eat Taco Bell responsibly.
This is true. My.
And what did you get there?
I got
for yourself?
myself a fiery one.
Oh, look at you! How fiery!
Oh my.
Is that what inspired you? You said I need to get one, and now I'll get one for Father Kent
Exactly.
as well.
My generosity knows no bounds.
So besides what we are eating, we are drinking the 40 sardines from the roastery. We didn't talk about what we were drinking yesterday. Do you remember?
We forgot. It was the Kansas City blend.
The Kansas City blend, also from the roastery. I'll come over here to the other camera because I just can see it better on the old camera. So here, here is the coffee of the day. 40 sardines from the roastery. And yesterday we had the, what did you say it was? From the roastery? Daily House Blend?
Kansas City blend.
Kansas City Blend. So, and that bag is already over there. So that's what we're drinking today. So 40 sardines. And now we'll go back to the main camera. It was also mentioned yesterday, we were throwing out a bunch of restaurants and stuff yesterday, and someone had mentioned Callahan's, I believe, which is owned by parishioners. What I understand, I don't know, I didn't remember who that was, but yes, I mean, I'm always happy to promote our local businesses, and if you feel free to do self-advertisement here in the comments or whatever. I mean, within reason, but just say, hey, by the way, if anyone's looking for this.
Right, it's an important time for us to support each other, not only my community, but also by helping those businesses which may be struggling at this
Absolutely.
point.
Yeah. So if you can help them out, that would be great. I I think, if my memory serves me correct, did you know that I've once performed in a bar?
No.
I have.
Tell me more about that.
Well, yes. So I used to do concerts. And what I would do in my concerts is I would have, a play, and then I'd use a screen to kind of have like background images and pictures, so you're not just looking at me. But anyway, so I made some albums, and several years ago I made an album on Jesus, and it was a Kickstarter thing. That page is still, the Kickstarter is funny because you can always go and look at past projects, and they like freeze where they were when they closed out. So I did a Kickstarter thing for my last 3 projects. Anyway, so a Kickstarter pledge was to do a concert, one of the pledge levels, and so one of those said that, and that was some Curie of Ars parishioners
Okay.
who then had me do a Jesus concert at Callahan's, which was pretty weird.
That would be very strange.
So they're thinking about what a friend we have in
Sing of
Jesus.
the Lord, Mr. Piano Man.
That's right.
Sing of the Lord tonight.
Yes.
For we're all in the mood for... No.
I learned some good lessons that day.
Okay.
It's like, don't sing your original material at a bar. That does not go over very well.
Probably not, no.
But now, I mean, it was mostly like Curie of Ars parishioners, so they were in the main course, but I felt a little bit bad for... I think that's the one time I've been there.
It's down at 87th, isn't it?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah. So Debbie there was asking whether or not... where the location it is, but I think it's right on 87th. It was the right Callahan's.
Mm-hmm. It's right. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, someone else can probably give the exactly where that is. So I think it's 87th Street, and
I think it's right over by like Black Dog or something like that.
I think it's close to Black Dog.
Yeah,
the
somewhere
coffee
there.
house.
What's it?
I was there the other day. Black
Dog
Dog Coffee House is also delicious.
Oh, great. Mm-hmm.
That's a really neat coffee house. They've got a bakery right now, the Innisibis Bakery.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Which I believe is named after a bird, right?
I don't know.
So it's named after a non-real creature.
Oh.
Think about that? Ibis Bakery is non-real. It's a bird. Because birds aren't real. Anyways.
Okay.
He's like, where are these dots coming from?
A little slow on the upchuck this morning, but anyway, that's a nice coffee shop too. I used to go to coffee shops all the time when I was in seminary. I don't do it as much, but I used to like go in there and reading a book, doing theology and stuff. But
I wrote my thesis basically in one of the coffee shops near in the seminary.
Very good. So, but I think that's so. If someone happens to know better where Callahan's is, it seemed like it was a really nice place. I enjoyed it, and I just haven't. I mean, I know this comes as a great shock, but I don't go out to bars and grills all that often. So yeah, but I think it's a nice place. Do you know? Remember being with God? Do you know how? So does Father Greg like the? Taco Bell, do you know?
I don't know if Father Greg likes
Yo quiero Taco Bell. You don't know?
I don't know now.
So maybe we should mail some tacos to Father Greg over in Topeka.
We should. Although I was going to get my tacos delivered this morning.
Make it bean burritos.
Oh yeah, that's true.
For the bean with God.
Please don't give in to this. Oh no.
Black bean with God.
Black bean with God. That sounds like a bad rapper. Doesn't it?
I don't know. But yes, go if you want to check out
BBWD 92.3 all day long.
Well, you
Black
know,
bean with God.
Did I ever tell you my rapper name? If I ever was a rapper,
No.
I want to be Poem.
Poem.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know. I just think I like because it's like
poem.
Exactly. So because rap is like a form of poetry, and so, and you like little po boy. I'm like Poem. That'd be my rapper
Little
name.
po boy.
Little po
I
boy.
believe it's a little Bo Peep.
Whatever, but I was talking about how my rap name would be if I was ever a rapper, which you have no fear that that will ever happen in my life. That would be my rapper name.
I have a small fear now. Before this conversation, no fear. After this conversation, I don't have a rapper's name. He has a rapper's name.
It depends on how long this quarantine goes on, I suppose.
It's true.
We'll start taking up rapping, and we'll start recording some rap songs in my basement. Very good. So what are you besides working on rapping? What are you working on there in your houses? What are you doing? Yeah,
I'm interested to hear about what the transition in the quarantine has looked like for you all, because I'm sure there was a first stage, the second stage, we might even be in a third stage now. What does a daily life look like for you all? Are you guys in the families? Good. I was hoping you'd continue eating that.
Well,
are you and your family still spending as much time with each other as you were initially, or have there been new patterns formed? It'd be an interesting question to hear.
Yes, because I think that everyone was apprehensive, but kind of at least I was hearing kind of at least at the beginning some kind of welcoming to this new family time or whatever, and maybe that welcoming thing has passed. I don't know, or maybe we're diving deep or whatever. I don't know.
It's an interesting question to see the development of it all.
Yes. So
if you got any thoughts, share that with us.
I am finding that I am going to now a lot more meetings and stuff nowadays.
Somebody told me that more and more of the other organizations are doing online meetings too. So apparently some of the kids' sports games or sports teams are meeting online, which I don't know how that would work. Like, are they dribbling the basketball in front of the camera and the
maybe? Yeah. Yes, my sister says you got the big hug. She said the same thing. You got
what?
Because I told him he's got. Well, let's go to the ash cam and show off. This is my picture from my mug from my sister, Wallace and Gromit, and he's got the big hug in the mug. You want to turn the other side that says the big hug in the mug?
Can you see it?
Yeah, there we go. So that my sister gave me that cup years ago, and she says, "No, you've got it." So yep, he's got the big hug in the mug. I've got Chewbacca again today. So yeah. So what are y'all working on? That is a spice. That is fiery.
It is. It's tasty.
Yeah. Well, again, that's a strong word. You keep on trying. You're trying to get me to say that, but I'm not committing.
Okay, so we've had the beginning of the quarantine was structured. Halfway through, it was a free for all, and today it's back to structure. Okay, good.
Yeah, I found that initially, when the quarantine first started, my daily schedule just went through the roof because I had, well, not through the roof, like out the window. It's more out the window, through the roof. Went out the window.
Not went this way, not this way.
Exactly. Because it was just so strange that we were trying to get the live streaming set up, so we were staying up late and doing all that.
It's true.
And after a little while, I found like I need to readjust things. So I've started getting up earlier in the morning, getting things done earlier in the morning now.
I've noticed. Yes.
So that's been helpful for me because I think often it can be tempting not to have a structure because you think, oh, I want to be more free, but then you end up just not feeling as good because we human beings thrive in structure like
That's
that.
true. That's true. They are doing YouTube and Zoom dance classes at the dance studio that I used to dance at in Topeka. Yeah. So, by the way, Kathleen, you sent me a video of that a month or so ago, and I couldn't open it for some reason. So I'm sorry to never comment on that video. I wasn't able to ever watch it. So yeah, we're doing kind of different things. Outside more, building a tree fort. That's fun. I've seen a lot of projects, and that's a great way to use this time. I depending on how long this quarantine goes on, and again, I'm finding myself not having as much time as I was thinking that I would have. But I hear people removing popcorn ceiling. We don't have popcorn ceiling here, but about everybody where else we do. Well, downstairs, and maybe I think on the top floor. Do you have popcorn ceiling?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, I think I've got popcorn ceiling in my bedroom. But if this goes on for a while longer, and I find that I have some extra time, I'm gonna, because I took down the wallpaper and painted down the basement. But I really like the basement. It's kind of a mess right now. But again, we're not any company. Nobody's ever down there. So, but I maybe want to take down that popcorn ceiling. So I don't really mind it, but everyone else apparently is really offended by popcorn ceiling. I mean, it's a criminal offense against. I mean, I think people are going to jail if they've got this. Popcorn so I really want to be careful for the popcorn ceiling because it's a major infraction of home. I don't know. It's so dated. I guess it doesn't bother me, but
halal meat and what it is and if we should eat it or avoid it.
I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
Is that a question?
It seems like it is. I don't know what the halal meat is.
Isn't halal meat a form of Middle Eastern food?
I
think so.
I don't know.
I don't know. Not a clue.
Tell us more there, Jen. Dina says the best popcorn ceiling is the one in the trash. Well, see? Mm-hmm. We did get an address. Terry, I believe that's the address to Callahan's. You're not sharing your own personal home address, but I believe that's the Callahan address there. So some more people. They trap dust and cast shadows. Okay, all right. Okay. Halal is for Muslim, like kosher is for. Oh, okay. All right, very good. We also have a question over on the tube here.
Oh, really?
We do. Carolina or Carolina, I don't know where she's watching from, but she says that she's enjoying it.
Okay, good.
And has some questions about the Catholic life and wondering why priests wear black.
Oh. Why do priests wear black?
Because it's the most slimming of all colors.
That's right. Because you can eat as much Taco Bell as you want, and no one will ever know.
Right. Why do priests wear black? Well, it's really more just tradition. There are theological reasons, somewhat. Well, a lot of people think that there needs to be a theological reason for why we.
I'm looking for a napkin, not more tacos.
Oh, okay.
Just to be clear.
Would have been fine. For what we wear or whatnot, but really, what we wear it just comes out of medieval society for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So the collar that we wear, this was essentially one form of medieval clothing wear, and it ended up getting associated with priests over the course of time. The cassock, which we've talked about before, is the form it has because it's medieval clothing, and it was actually some of the most simple medieval clothing, actually. So when you look at a cassock, it's only got buttons, and it just goes down to the floor, just clothing. Whereas other clothing during that time, if you've ever seen images of like St. Thomas More or other things, it was a lot more complex. So the cassock is the most simple of all clothing because it is just buttons and a cloak essentially. And when we wear black, the reason why it's black, traditionally people say it's because of death to the world. So we die to the world and we rise with Christ. It's kind of true. It's really just because that's the color that became associated with priests over time. So I'm all for putting theological reasonings on things, but not going through the roof with it. So
we're out the window.
We're out the window with it. Yeah.
Very good. So I don't think there's. That's a great explanation. I don't think I have much to add to it. We have a little bit of different style collars, so there's just some different styles. And some priests, there are like white cassocks, knights in white cassocks.
Yeah.
But then there's also some other colors, like the brown. What do you call that? The habit, brown habit, or different color habits that some monks will wear. You might see. There are different colored clerical shirts. We don't really do that so much as Catholics in the United States, but sometimes like some of the Colombian priests wear like a light blue sometimes or something too. Mm-hmm. So there some other countries would wear like a blue clerical shirt or something, and there's no really significance. It's just made to be.
Or in Africa, often, or what we call mission territories, the cassock and actually priest clothing generally tends to be white
because
it's cooler.
It's cooler.
So you'll see priests walking around with a white cassock on, and they're not trying to be the Pope.
Right.
It's because they're in mission territory, and that area would generally have a white one because it would be considered a hotter realm, region.
All that Ecuadorian territory there. So,
I know nothing about halal meat, and someone said Jen's asking if we can talk about it tomorrow. Maybe.
I say maybe because I really know nothing about the topic, so I don't know if even by tomorrow I'll be well enough versed. If somebody knows more about halal meat, go ahead and put it on our thing.
Okay. Lori also requested over on the tube that Father Ashmore does poetry, so why don't I sing sometimes? We talked about doing some like songs or something that's never come up.
Materialized.
It's never materialized. Mm-hmm. Not entirely opposed to doing that, I suppose. I guess I'll think about that. So interesting suggestion. But very good. Any other things that are coming up or questions that you might have for us today? Wow, this whole thing on halal meat
is just going crazy. I didn't even know there was any controversy.
Apparently, I am separated from society. I have no idea.
And then Millie added. I'll just throw that in here. Oh, Caroline, you're both places. Millie mentioned that historically black was the cheapest dye to use, and so it's fitting for the simple parish priest. Well, that makes sense. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, black is a simple color, even so. I mean, it's, it's kind of non-descript. And
It's also interesting to think about the most powerful colors. So I know that somebody, at one point, a professor was talking to us about the significance of different colors psychologically and emotionally, and they said that the most powerful colors are black, white, and red.
Okay.
That those ones make the most impression on you. And what colors do the priests, bishops, popes generally wear? White, red, and black.
Yeah, right.
And you also have fuchsia, but fuchsia is kind of like a color of red. So, and fuchsia is the color that bishops wear. So it makes an interesting point. Like, when you see that color, it makes an emotional impression on you. So
yeah,
it brings
interesting.
back memories. It's not necessarily powerful as in like domineering, but is it powerful insofar as it evokes a lot within you.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, gotcha.
so somebody's when they are wearing that color, you're more apt to pay attention to them, more apt to listen to what they say. Not even domineering, but you're going to be more attuned to it. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting.
Yes.
Let's see. Why do we wear purple during confession? Simple. It's the color that we associate with penance. I don't know why that is. To be honest, I don't know what the development of that is, but it's the color that we associate with penance. So we wear it during Advent and Lent because both of those are penitential seasons, and we wear it also during confessions and potentially funerals too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes wear. I mean, yes, you can use other stoles as well. I mean,
Can you?
I think so. I mean, I use it.
Mhm.
I've been wearing white for Easter season sometimes. So
Well, I didn't realize that.
yeah, I think so. We can talk about that some more. I don't know, but generally I wear purple, but sometimes in the season I was under the impression that any stole will do. It's a little bit weird to wear green, but I think white would also work with the new life that the sacrament brings. So I usually wear purple, but sometimes, especially like if I don't have any other stole on me, I'll throw on a white one or something. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, and also, I mean, it's not necessary to the sacrament that you even wear a stole.
Right. Certainly.
Because like if you get pulled aside or something, hey Father, can you hear my confession or whatever? I might not have a stole on me. I prefer to wear a stole.
Right.
But if I've got nothing on me, I can still administer the sacrament.
The stole helps to show that the authority that we're working under at that point is not our own. That's
Right.
the whole symbol of the
Yes,
soul.
right.
It's authority there. So the deacon wears it on his shoulder and on the side to show that he has diaconal authority. The priest wears it on his neck, hanging down, because he has priestly authority.
Mhm.
And the stole comes from Roman society, essentially, where you'd have a vestment, a clothing item like that would show your level in society, and then people could know, if I go to this person, they will have this level of authority. So a priest wears a stole because it's showing he is a priest, and he's working on the authority of the person who bestowed that stole upon him.
Very good.
Mhm.
Well, spinning off of that, there was a trend back in 70s, 80s, 90s to wear the stole outside of the chasuble. And so there were kind of some designs. I don't know if Good Shepherd ever did that. But it's kind of backwards of what the theology is. Again, I'm not criticizing anyone that was doing it, because I kind of liked him too. But then once someone kind of instructed me, like, that's not really where, because what the chasuble, as I understand it, kind of comes from the same origin as charity, chasuble, and that connection of that this is the chasuble is the vestment that you wear during Mass, and that idea of above all put on charity, above all put on love, and so even over authority put on love. And so I always think of that too. And so to put that the opposite way is not a message that I think probably most people want to hear, of first put on love, but if that doesn't work, pull out authority.
Right, exactly.
So above all, put on authority. And I don't think we want to say that. We want to say authority is important, but over all of that, put on love. So the wearing the stoles on the outside of the chasuble, though some were designed that way too, and they were pretty. I will grant you that, and they were comfortable. I really liked those. But once that was introduced to me, and that was kind of forbidden then afterwards, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I don't want to put authority over love.
Right, exactly. The charity of Christ covers all. That's why it's the most ample of all the vestments too.
Right.
That is, the charity of Christ is the most ample.
And do you want to talk about sleeves?
Sleeves?
Yes.
What do you mean?
You don't like sleeves, right?
Well, I don't like long sleeves.
Right. Well, it's kind of the idea of I like you're talking about ample, and I like the big flowing chasuble and everything, and you don't necessarily like that because you feel it kind of gets in your way. Is that right?
Certainly, yeah, because then I like not having the chasuble go out to my arms as long, because it gets in the way as I'm trying to do the actions on the altar. There's always that tendency to knock the chalice over, do something like that. So it's really a practical thing. It's not like a theological significance.
Right.
It gets out of my way.
Right. Because I think that was something that was a little bit surprising maybe for the Good Shepherd parishioners. Like, well, I've never seen a vestment like that, but that's kind of the background of, and I will resonate completely. I still like the flowingness of that, but it's true, they do get in the way, and you'll notice sometimes I have to kind of clump this as I'm reaching for the chalice or whatever. Or you'll notice like the reason, like when I hold, like when I lean over and I do the consecration, take this all of you, I only hold with one hand. Most people hold with two hands. One of the reasons is because my sleeves are in the way. And so there were several times I leaned over and then my sleeve of my chasuble, like the little string, holds out and it like picks up a host there, and then like a host will fall on the floor and like So one of the reasons I do that is because I can keep control over and not get sleeves, because the instructions say you take it and then you lean over a bit. Well, if I'm leaning over there with sleeves, then I'm sometimes picking up things I don't want to be picking up. So So that's kind of the reason that I do that, and I do the same thing with the chalice. I do it one-handed to keep my sleeve out of the way.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I think there's always a temptation to overinterpret things.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
And that's, I think, is a perfect example.
Yeah, right.
Like, some priests may have a lot more simple vestments. Some priests may have a lot more ornate vestments. My vestments are really beautiful, I think. I love them. I think they're gorgeous.
They are.
But they're actually a relatively simple design. It's a fabric with, the pillar, essentially. It's a very simple design. But some people would look at me and say, oh, he's a good priest because he's got beautiful vestments. Or you might look at me and say, oh, he's, a stuck-up, because he's got beautiful vestments. Like, no, in this case, it's really just style. I mean, not style as in like a fashion sense, but there are different tastes sometimes.
Right.
And it's important not to over-interpret that. I've got different tastes in vestments than somebody else does. That doesn't necessarily mean that either one of us are better. Or, the vestment style that we generally have in the United States at this point was only introduced into the church in the 60s or so.
Right.
60s or so. It's called Gothic vestments, and they were a revival of what they would have worn in like the 8th century or so, 8th, 9th century. Gothic vestments at that point. And so that's the longer, more ample ones. Over time, for practical reasons, it got cut back. And then what people saw for a long time was more of the Roman style, where if you remember, sometimes they're called fiddlebacks. It's where it's just kind of straight, it hangs over the shoulders. And that was common for about 300, 400 years in the church. What's the difference between the two? One is more ample. There's no theological difference between the two.
Right.
It's just kind of style, or the form changes over time. And back in the 60s, there was kind of a revival to go and use this 8th century version one. And I think under younger clergy, there's more of there is the desire to keep a little bit more of an ample size for the beauty of it, but also cut it back again for practical reasons.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily theological. You can't look at it and be like, oh, well, you know what? Father Kent's a big lib and Father Ashman's a big, and it's like, it's a vestment.
Right.
Let's not overinterpret these things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, and then and things, and then as with everything, styles kind of come and go as well. Like people really like this, and then it kind of goes out of fashion, and it kind of comes back in fashion. That works with just about anything.
Right.
Records are coming back, for crying out loud.
Right.
Who would have thunk? We don't have CDs, and we have everything digital, except the record stores are pretty popular. Actually, there's a record store on Johnson Drive. I forget the name of it, but
really?
It was owned by someone who I did a...
Oh, it's right near St. Joseph Church, isn't it?
Fairly close. It's on the other side of Metcalf, though.
Oh, no.
There might be another one. There might be another one. But anyway, I'm a little bit nervous about those kinds of stores, whether they will survive during this time, because that's a pretty niche market. And so I'm a little concerned about those kinds of stores, whether they'll be able to survive. So if you like records, stop by a record store once we are free from our quarantine. That would be good. But yeah, so that's a little bit about vestments and things, and yeah. I like the flowiness normally, and I get a little goofy sometimes with my flowiness, but
right.
But I kind of like the way it moves.
Right. There are many different styles. I really love vestments. I love their form and the art of it all, because it's really truly an art form. So generally we got Gothic here at the church, very, very ample. Then you got semi-Gothic, which is just a little bit cut back and generally comes down a little bit less tall. So that's more of a semi-Gothic style. Then you got what's called the Charles Borromeo style, which it comes down to like right here-ish. Well, no, it comes to right like here. Okay. Then you have Philip Neri, which comes to right here. And then you have the Roman style. So I've got Roman that I use at the Daily Mass. So you may see those if you watch me at Daily Mass. Those are Roman ones. They just come to here. So. And then what I have at the parish are called Philip Neri, and they come to about right here.
Okay. Well, I'll be...
And they're all... The Philip Neri and the Charles Borromeo style come from our recreations of what we saw them wearing in images of them. So there's a famous painting of Philip Neri wearing a vestment that looks like this, and so vestment makers said, we want to make one of those, and so they cut it out, and they figured out what it would have looked like, and they started selling it under his name.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's an art form.
Yeah, right.
And...
So there's everything you ever want to know and more of vestments. So very good. Hi, Jermaine. Good to see you. Glad you could join us. Priest in white cassocks, yes.
Priests in white cassocks.
Priests in white cassocks. Oh, well, okay, one more question from Lori. I see you over here on the tube. Where do you get your vestments? I was going to mention that. So when I was in seminary, they said that parishes own vestments, not priests. But priests kind of need a set too, because, like, for instance, we're over here in our chapel here, or when I go traveling or whatever, I don't really want to take the parish vestments. So it's good to have a set also, at least. So I have a set, and mine all came from Rome. You might think, Roman vestments, well... Actually, they were cheaper over there because there's kind of supply and demand going on. There's more people, more shopping going for vestments going on there. They were cheaper, and I thought that they were just better made, prettier. I could buy them off the rack. So when I went a couple times visiting there, one for another priest friend's ordination, and I could just take it off the rack, and I like the style and everything. So mine came from a store, Barbaconi? I don't remember what it was, but they're in Rome. So that's where, so they were cheaper and better, I thought, in Rome. That's why I bought mine in Rome. You can buy them like at Idonally, but
yeah,
I'm less thrilled with what I have found there.
Yeah, no.
They are expensive too, so I try to be careful of those things.
Right. I bought mine from the sisters in Gower. Their name are the Benedictine Sisters, Queen of the Angels. They have the Ephesus House investment making company as part of it all.
Okay.
And they're called, in this way, there are some who's called the Ephesus Sisters because of that, or the Gower Sisters. They're friends of mine. They're a beautiful community, and mine are one of a kind creations. So I worked with the sisters, and we made them. We designed them together.
Oh, so beautiful! I didn't know that. That's great.
So. Assisi Misericordia and I worked on it together.
Nice.
So,
I also just my own preference. I like collars up here. There are some vestments that don't have collars. And some
yeah. I'm allergic to vestments with collars.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I start breaking out in hives.
No, I like the collar. I like the way it sits up a little bit on my neck. It feels good. So, but
here we are.
Yeah. So, but there's just difference of what we personally like, and there's not really a right way or a wrong way. It's just the style, and I also like it, especially at the Sunday masses. I might wear the parish vestments, but sometimes I'll wear my personal vestments. So basically, every day I go to the cabinet and say, "Well, what will I wear today?" And I have to wear the right color, but I can choose. Here's all these options.
And I think this leads us into another discussion. Why do we wear vestments? We wear vestments in order to connect us with the church who's gone before us for 2,000 years.
Nothing like a cold Dorito taco logo.
Well, whose fault is that? It was hot when I brought it to you. Anyways, the church, we wear the vestments not necessarily because they look cool,
right?
Although they do. We don't wear the vestments not because they're necessarily beautiful, although that is part of it. There is the ampleness to it, and doing that evokes a certain emotional reaction when you come to the liturgy and you see a priest wearing them. It certainly separates out from daily life. So that's one reason why we wear vestments. But we really wear vestments in order to connect us with every priest who has said Mass before us for 2,000 years.
Right.
Because that's what they wore. And so we are stepping into the position of that. when I go to celebrate Mass, I'm not going to celebrate, Nicholas Ashmore's Mass.
Right.
I'm to celebrate the church's Mass.
Right.
And so I go and I take on the clothing of the priests who have come before me, and I kind of melt into the position of the priest. I conform myself to that, and I wear clothes that aren't my own in order to remind myself that I'm not doing my own thing.
Right.
I'm doing what the church is set out for, and so it's for both the people who see that. They see something that's come before them. They can remember when they were a little kid, Father, when he was 5 years old, they saw Father wearing vestments, and when they're 95, there's that consistency, stability to the liturgy, and it reminds me that I'm doing something different too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Sometimes people will come up to me and say, "Hey, Father Jim, what do you think about this?" And I'm sorry, Father Kent. And my response all the time is, "It doesn't matter. We're all the same." So, we entered into the priesthood, and it doesn't matter. It's also the beauty, and again, I know that there. I stress the beauty sometimes, not because we're planning on doing this, but just because sometimes people have a negative connotation with like the Latin Mass or whatever, and people think of the priest with the back to the people and think, why is a priest so inconsiderate? It's not really the idea. One of the ideas is you're all praying the same way to God. The other idea is everyone's back kind of looks the same and you can't tell who it is, and that's kind of the idea. Is it doesn't matter who's celebrating the Mass because it's Christ who's celebrating the Mass, and so you can actually see less of the priest when the priest is facing the altar. It's really about facing the altar more than the back, but if your perspective is seeing the back, you can't really see who the priest is, and that's kind of the design.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I remember the first time I heard somebody asked a priest, "Hey, Father, are you going to celebrate Mass facing the people? No. Are you going to celebrate Mass with your back to the people?" And he's like, "You mean with my face to God?" And that was the whole point of celebrating Mass, what's called ad orientem. That's going to the east, is what it means in Latin. So we're all celebrating the same direction, looking at Jesus Christ, who is the rising sun.
Right.
So
again, I'm not planning on doing this, but I know that there is, particularly perhaps a Good Shepherd too. There is a particular kind of we don't do that here, and I get that, but I also I think it's also fair to mention that to play the other side, right? To honor those that really do love the Latin Mass. It's not because they hate people or whatever. It's I want to emphasize the beauty that they're going for, and I think that's important for any of us looking at anyone that we might disagree with or whatever. Mm-hmm. What are they going for? What is the beauty that they are seeking? Mm-hmm. And part of the beauty of the Latin Mass, again, I never grew up on it. I've been to like 2 Latin Masses in my entire life, so I don't have a particular affinity to it. But I do try to listen. Again, we were talking about this the other day. Like the car show or whatever. I like knowing what is inspiring to people or what they like spending their time doing. The Latin Mass is inspiring, and it was inspiring for generations of people. But again, and so people get it gets a bad rap, and I'm trying to stress that what the idea was, if it's done appropriately, is that you can't really tell who that priest is, and that's kind of the idea. And the priest is looking everyone to God, which is, by the way, one of the things I do a little bit. A little bit at the end of Mass. You'll notice that I often will sing an extra verse or chorus or something of the closing hymn at like the foot of the altar, and I might stay there for a little bit longer. It's like, what's taking them so long to leave? The reason is I like that piece a little bit of y'all standing behind me, and we're all singing together, and it's not about me standing up here on a platform singing to you. It's we are all singing this song to God together, so I capture a little bit of that moment, at least for me, is I'm part of the community here. I'm singing with y'all. Let's sing this beautiful song here at the end. And so I get a little taste of that. And that's what the Latin Mass is meant to do. It's not, I'm up here on a platform and y'all are back here. It's, we are all praying this together. So that's kind of the idea.
I worry about how warm you must get in vestments in summertime. And sometimes they can be warm. Yeah, it's true. Normally it's not too bad.
Well,
but
in air conditioned churches nowadays, when it's working, it's generally not a problem. So.
Yeah, I was at an unair conditioned church for one period of time in my life when I was an altar server, and the 11th commandment of altar serving, we called it, was "Thou shalt not stand in front of Father's fan."
That's right. Yes, I've heard that Father Joseph Totten, he's a friend of mine. He lived let's see here. He was the very next room to me at Mundelein. So we went to seminary together and lived on the same floor. And, well, I can show a picture. I've got proof.
I don't know Father Totten personally.
He has lost a lot of weight over the years. I hope he doesn't mind me showing you this picture. And I have gained a lot of weight over the years. But I used to be thin like Father Ashmore was thin. But if I go over here to the O'Camerer, this is my, let's see here. There is a picture here of my floor at the seminary. And I was a deacon, that's why I have my my clerics on, so that was my final year there. Also, you might see Father John Cortez, who was he followed me at Our Lady of Unity. So we were ordained together, we lived on the same floor. And there, over 2 spots away from me in the white shirt, is Father Joseph Totten. So there he is. And yes, I hear that he does a beautiful Latin Mass. But I've never been trained how to do that. I don't know how to do it, and so.
Okay. Well, I was going to talk about heresy today, but we didn't get on that topic.
My favorite.
Well, no.
We want to save it for tomorrow.
We'll have to save it tomorrow. It's
a
good conversation.
Okay.
It's called nominalism.
Nominalism.
Mm-hmm.
So tune in tomorrow for nominalism.
It's a really important one. You want to know who started nominalism? I'll give you a little hint. William of Ockham. So you ever heard of Occam's
razor?
Exactly. You know why nominalism happened? Pardon me. You know what nominalism caused? The Protestant Reformation. Yes. So if you're curious about what are really the intellectual roots of the Protestant Reformation,
I am.
We will go over tomorrow. Nominalism.
You are baiting our breath.
I am. Exactly. It's fascinating. So
very good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
Oh, wow.
Western Shawnee just had a flyover by the stealth bomber and 6 fighter jets. Cool. I didn't hear them. I'm maybe not Western enough. So yeah, it's very good. Thanks for everyone that are on the front lines there, all of our medical personnel who's doing all that. So, well, thanks so much for tuning in, and tune in tomorrow for nominalism. I think we've ended the taco cycle, but who knows what might show up tomorrow.
Yeah, you never quite know. We're not sure ourselves.
That's right. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. And let's see here, we have Spanish Rosary at 5 today, and then 6 o'clock Mass, and then Tuesday Night Live with my co-host Michael Sheeran. We were talking... What?
My host.
My host is... we are doing going through the Catechism, and we are looking at principles of social justice, I believe, tonight. So we looked at, what do we do as a public community and law and everything. I thought it was a good discussion last week, and we're going to continue along in the Catechism to the next part, which is about the principles of Catholic social teaching. So
exciting.
Anyway, so thanks so much for tuning in. We will hopefully see you tonight, tomorrow, whenever you tune in again. Have a blessed day. Also, we are also titling our shows now, so we'll have to discuss. Have to figure out what we'll call this one. So,
all right. Thank you all so much for joining us today.
All right.
God bless you.
Yep. See you tomorrow.